This is about you. And today I am not speaking softly or vaguely, I am speaking with the full weight of a divine declaration. God is saying, hold on, they are being restored right now. In this very moment, while you sit with questions that feel heavier than your heart can hold, heaven is already at work, not later, not someday. Now, you have felt the ache of silence, the sting of distance, the confusion of wondering if you should release what still refuses to release you. Yet every time you felt forgotten, heaven remembered you. Every time you felt invisible, heaven saw you. Every time the silence felt like rejection, God was whispering beneath it, I am not finished. What you carry inside your heart is not weakness. It is not a delusion. It is not wishful thinking. It is divine alignment. It is the mark of a story God has not closed. It is the quiet evidence of a bond heaven is still shaping. If something is stirring inside you right now, your chest tightening, your spirit trembling, your eyes warming with tears, that is not random emotion. That is confirmation. That is destiny awakening. That is the breath of God, touching a place you thought had gone numb. So before we go any further, I want you to respond with boldness. Speak it, claim it, and write it. 777 I trust God's timing. And if this word resonates in your spirit, like it, share it, and stay connected, because what begins for you today is not information, it's transformation. You need to understand something essential. The reason you still feel this connection is not because you are weak, desperate, or holding on to a fantasy. The reason you cannot fully release this person, even after silence, distance, logic, and exhaustion, is that something deeper than emotion is at work. Your hope is not a flaw, your hope is a signal. It is the quiet pulse of something divine that has not yet reached its conclusion. C.S. Lewis once wrote in The Weight of Glory that our deepest longings are often echoes of something real, something promised, something that exists but has not yet fully appeared. What you feel is exactly that, an echo. It is the spiritual imprint of a story God has not allowed to end. Longing is not delusion when it aligns with purpose. It is not naive when it continues despite your attempts to bury it. It is not imaginary when it survives the silence. Every time you tried to move on, something in your spirit resisted. Every time you told yourself, this is over, something deeper whispered, not yet. Every time the gap between you grew wider, the pull inside you grew stronger. That pull is not an obsession, it is direction, it is alignment, it is the evidence of a bond that heaven is still guarding. Think of Gideon, standing in fear, believing he was insignificant, unable to understand why God kept stirring something inside him. Yet God saw what Gideon could not. God saw purpose beneath confusion, identity beneath insecurity, destiny beneath doubt. In the same way, God sees what you cannot see right now. He knows why your heart refuses to sever this thread. He understands the spiritual architecture behind your attachment. This is not about clinging to the past. It is about being drawn toward a future that has not yet unfolded. And the very fact that your heart still responds, still remembers, still leans toward this person, even after everything that is not emotional chaos. That is spiritual clarity. That is divine continuity. That is the purpose whispering through the cracks of your fear. So stop blaming yourself for caring. Stop shaming yourself for hoping. Stop assuming your heart is broken simply because it still feels. What you feel is the residue of something heaven is still crafting. And when God has not released you from something, it is because he has not finished writing it. One of the greatest lies the enemy uses against your heart is this: if they are silent, they don't care. If they pulled away, you don't matter. If they stopped showing up, the story is over. But silence is not rejection. Silence is not abandonment. Silence is not the end. Silence is a space where God works in ways you cannot yet see. You have been interpreting their quiet as indifference, But heaven has been using that quiet as a construction zone. You have looked at the distance and assumed loss, yet God has looked at the same distance and declared it preparation. God often removes noise before he restores what matters. He often allows separation before he brings clarity. He allows stillness so he can rebuild what was broken without interruption. Remember this: if their silence meant rejection, your spirit would have released them long ago. Your heart would not be holding on with such spiritual sensitivity. You would not feel the pull that defies logic. Rejection leads to release, but the divine process leads to tension. And what you feel right now is tension, not termination. Silence becomes dangerous only when you misunderstand its purpose. But silence under God's hand is intentional, strategic, protective. It is the soil where transformation grows. Think of a seed buried in the dark. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. No movement, no progress, no life. But inside that darkness, something is breaking open. Something is forming. Something is being prepared to rise. The silence you fear is the soil of resurrection. The distance you hate is the womb of restoration. And what feels like emptiness is actually the beginning of becoming. So do not misinterpret the quiet. It is not proof of rejection. It is proof that God is working where your eyes cannot see. While you wrestle with confusion on your side of the story, there is a divine operation happening on theirs. God is healing them in places you were never meant to reach, in layers you could not touch, in depths they never allowed anyone to see. You have mistaken their distance for disinterest, but heaven sees it as intervention. God is not ignoring your desire for restoration. He is protecting it. There are wounds inside them that need silence, not conversation. There are fears inside them that need divine confrontation, not your reassurance. There are patterns inside them that need breaking, not comforting. This is why God pulled you back, not to punish you, but to protect both of you from stepping into a relationship built on unhealed fractures. C.S. Lewis wrote in The Problem of Pain that pain is God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world. In their life, this separation has become that megaphone. The discomfort they feel, the emptiness they won't admit, the restless searching that keeps leading them nowhere. It is all God awakening the parts of them that were asleep. Their avoidance is being exposed. Their emotional immaturity is being dismantled. Their fear of intimacy is being confronted by the one who created them for love. Sometimes God must strip a person down to the foundation before he can rebuild them correctly. And that is what is happening now. While you wonder why they vanished, God is teaching them why running never saved them. While you question their silence, God is teaching them how to speak truth instead of hiding behind confusion. While you ache over what seems lost, God is preparing them to value what they once mishandled. He is reshaping their heart, not for a temporary return, but for a transformed re-entry. He is rebuilding their capacity to love without fear, to stay without wavering, to commit without hesitation. If they came back to you too soon, they would return with the same wounds, the same patterns, the same avoidance that once sabotaged everything. God refuses to let that happen. He is healing them thoroughly, not partially. He is transforming them from the inside out. He is preparing them to meet you not as the version who left, but as the version who can finally stay. So do not fear the silence. Do not resist the waiting. Do not assume nothing is happening. The silence is the surgery. The stillness is the restoration. The distance is the divine rebuilding. And when God completes this work, they will not return as a repetition of the past. They will return as a redeemed future. You have been asking yourself why God allowed this distance, why He permitted the separation, why someone who once seemed so close suddenly became unreachable. But heaven did not remove them from your life to hurt you. Heaven removed them to protect you. When a structure is unstable, a wise builder clears the area so no one gets injured during reconstruction. In the same way, God created space because what needed to be rebuilt in them could not be rebuilt with you standing in the impact zone. You saw the separation as abandonment, but God saw it as preservation. You thought they walked away from you, but God was actually pulling you out of the blast radius of their broken